diritto a una casa, il diritto a essere in un posto e avere un tetto sopra la testa.
Cuando el derecho de la ciudad se exige demasiado tarde, a través de los medios sociales, que son una herramienta útil, pero cuando se utilizan demasiado tarde ya no es suficiente.
It's interesting to have open buildings where everybody can just access, because the people came before the buildings, but now we have put the buildings before us.
Tiene que ver primero con tomar conciencia de qué queremos, qué proyecto queremos construir como sociedad, ni siquiera como mundialización, sino como ciudad o como vecinos incluso.
To adapt architecture and to connect architecture to the social moment, economical, political moment that we are living in. If not, we are, as architects, will be completely disconnected to society and we will not have any roles, any important roles in the construction of the society in itself.
We are entering an era in which creativity and spatial imagination and art are really the central capacity of humans to live a better life. I think it's really through that.
Cada sociedad secreta su propio espacio. Entonces, lo que me interesa de esa perspectiva en el contexto de San Pablo es entender cómo la sociedad paulista hoy está construyendo su propio espacio.
We get new approaches to also design the urban, or taking part on the designing of the everyday life.
This is really what cities are for. Self-expression, a multidisciplinary setting, a relational situation in which your surrounding becomes a very rich context for reflection and for engagement. So I'm saying that statement with this hope of seeing that kind of future in which the future of urban is art. And art is a tool for a more human and democratic state of living.
Sino espacios de relación, espacios humanos que sean posibles construir acuerdos y avanzar en esa dirección que se plantean.
Because now we've got what we want, now we want to problematize the issue of migration. But before, everyone was excited about it. It's like, come, come, come. And then now we've got these cities, we're like, no, stop, what are you doing? Don't come.
We have to also understand that architecture cannot solve problems. We can limitate the problems. We can increase the resilience of people to go against the crisis.
It's really a great experience with our students coming from different disciplines to learn the other language, or to learn understanding and to learn from each other, from the experiences.
To discuss the relevance in practice, the relevance has to be discussed, not coming from a theory, coming to reclaim for the architects or the urban planners. We are the one who have to lead this interdisciplinarity.
Entonces empieza a mutar y a ser flexible en función de las dinámicas del sitio, ¿sí? Y un poco eso es a lo que nosotros llamamos la pedagogía del espacio, ¿sí? Como el espacio al final es un ámbito pedagógico, ¿sí? Y el ámbito entendido en el sentido de que es la dimensión físico-espacial, pero también la dimensión sociocultural, ¿sí? Y la pedagogía como las herramientas que tenemos para generar didáctica. En este caso, esas herramientas se traducen en la arquitectura.
First of all, I'm very pleased to participate in the Vertical Studio, because more than everything, I think that the environment of the Scuola Cidade succeed to create is extremely interesting. The level of hierarchy that is normally in all the universities all over the world, here is much more limited. And this is very interesting because it's meaning that you give the possibility to students to express themselves, but at the same time to share knowledge with the teachers and with other places of the world. What I like a lot when Ciro told me about the Scuola Cidade, that you decide to not have any canteen or bar inside the Scuola, because the school and university is the city of Sao Paulo. So the student has to go out and to be enriched every day and to understand the society, to do good projects and to be good architects. So this, I think, is an excellent learning point for each student coming here for as a first year student. Second point, was very interesting, the connection with between guest lectures and the students and the teacher from the Scuola da Cidade, because again, the possibility to give expression to students and to different people, and to give this kind of freedom of idea, this kind of democratization of ideas, is something that is very tangible in this school. So it's a school with a very clear economic, political, and architecture idea, and this is something that we need in the architecture world. So, congratulations to this, first of all. And with the students, I work with a team of rights, and they touch the right to the food, the right to the city, the right to the cultural identity, and the right to the house. So through models and one-to-one scale models also, and photography and art, they try to understand and try to express, of course, in a very limited time. We have to understand also this, what are the rights as a role of the architect, what is the right that there is a need, there is a urgent for. So this is very important, and the students were very interesting in working with this, because in many of their cases also something that is connected to their private life.
Yo creo que uno de los principales aportes que puedo hacer en la dinámica del taller planteado en el contexto del seminario, pues está en poder entender que busquemos, antes de plantearnos cambiar el mundo, cambiarnos nosotros en la medida de lo que podemos impactar. Y a partir de ahí entender, al menos como arquitecto, que nuestro rango de acción es muy limitado. De hecho, es mucho más pequeño que nuestro ego, lo cual plantea un problema. Pero si logramos bajarle el volumen a toda esa tensión que hay en nuestra cabeza y nos entendemos parte de una cantidad de decisiones de las cuales somos capaces de ser un actor importantísimo, pues esa pequeña decisión que impacte en la lógica esa que llaman de punto y círculo, pues ya habremos logrado algo.
First, I want to talk about the experience of this week in terms of what Scuola da Cidade has put on. I think it's been a very powerful, meaningful week. And the collective, not sure the name, but the Nova de Julio building squat, I think was very powerful, because to link back to the previous question, there is this tendency in squatted buildings that are run by male-dominant groups to run them as a gang, to run the building as a sort of compound, and it was uplifting, powerful to see that women. This is a generalization, but there is a kind of masculine tendency to destroy and build a thing bigger and better and more powerful, and there's a female tendency to rebuild and remake. And so that squat is, as I understand, mostly run by women. It's a condition that we need to move out of from the 20th century, where cities are all about building bigger, more mightier constructs. So this, I think, is a very important question that comes out of the seminar. And this is what our workshop is looking at.
Yeah.
So we have Ruapain, I still can't get the pronunciation quite right, but this is a modern tower that somehow creates an interesting scale, an interesting ground floor condition, but a great separation between the public realm and the private realm. So the workshop is meant to look at how can you reimagine the space at a detailed level that isn't about destroying, it isn't about putting in a grand new arcade through there or breaking through multiple walls, but to work within a framework and to make small changes that may hopefully make the space better. To encourage students to discuss these ideas. That's what
my experience with Sao Paulo has been very enriching, uplifting and educational. I mean, the way the whole program is organized, it's well organized, it's a well-oiled machine, the colleagues working together, and they are taking their time to provide this space, and they are making us feel very welcome and showing us the most exquisite buildings in Sao Paulo. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, and which is something that I feel like all architecture schools need to do. We need to engage with the world we know and the world we don't know. So your students will be much more enriched because they got to meet professors outside, you know, the environment that they are learning side. So when they start designing now, they're thinking of Sao Paulo on a global perspective. And this is an educational model. This is what we talk about, educating the city. And I think the School of the City is doing it because it's inside the city. They're worried about how do you educate our future kids to think beyond just Sao Paulo, but the world. But they're designing a world, a city that allows for everybody outside the world to participate in. And only such spaces are possible when architects can think at that level. Once they got out of university, they didn't teach them the real conditions of the country. Now you have to design for the marginalized community that you never had to engage with in your schooling life. So, and it's not even at a global perspective. I mean, when I'm in South Africa, I'll have a very probably distorted perception of Brazil and Sao Paulo. You have invited us to give something. We take more than we can give because we learn about the culture, we learn about, especially with the workshop that we're working with, the students have a deeper understanding of what can happen within the space. We help to guide that understanding. We are here to facilitate that understanding of how can we reimagine the memory of a space. And yesterday I made a note to myself to say, you know, cities are imaginariums. What can it be? What can it not be? And the imagination, it's one thing that we should not lose, but the imagination should be towards a positive public health, because I feel that it's not actually about the life in the city that we should worry about the most. It's about the mind. You can have the life, but if the mind is not thinking in a very positive way, the life becomes useless.
El tema por el cual se me invita a desarrollar el trabajo con los alumnos es sobre ocupación en el espacio público, y el cual yo rápidamente quise darle un giro a propósito de Lefebvre y hacer una suerte de caballito de Troya. Me invitan por algo y llegamos con la otra idea que me parece primordial y que trata de la producción del espacio. Probablemente el último libro importante en la producción de Lefebvre, y he tratado de desarrollar durante el workshop, agregar un nuevo filtro a la mirada con que los alumnos se acercan o desarrollan trabajos con la ciudad a partir de lo que Lefebvre plantea como su triada, ¿cierto? Que es justamente la base de la teoría social del espacio, y donde entendemos que ya no solo somos los arquitectos los encargados de construir espacios, sino que el espacio tiene otras dimensiones que obviamente trascienden la dimensión euclidiana y que tienen que ver con lo cotidiano, con los imaginarios y obviamente también con el espacio concebido, que es el que nos corresponde junto a los técnicos y otros profesionales. Pero ese ha sido como el eje a través del cual hemos estado desarrollando más que nada pesquisa, que no buscan desarrollar propuestas aún, sino que abrir la discusión y reflexión junto a los alumnos.
En el workshop lo que estamos intentando hacer es poder hacernos cargo de la memoria colectiva y la memoria individual, partiendo por nuestros propios sentimientos. Entonces les pedimos a los estudiantes que encontraran lugares en los que ellos creían que había un conflicto entre la memoria colectiva, lo que uno observaba en la ciudad, o sea, las capas que tenía la ciudad y cómo eso generaba conflicto. Y eso, más que producir una producción arquitectónica, en el fondo lo que queremos hacer es que los estudiantes tengan tengan en consideración las cosas que la historia y la memoria y que estén más conscientes de ello antes de empezar a simplemente proponer cosas en esos lugares. Entonces la estructura del workshop en esta semana es más que nada de reflexión y de tener una postura de esa reflexión. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? ¿Visibilizar esa memoria colectiva o invisibilizarla? Es lo mismo que la discusión con la arquitectura, si conservarla o destruirla. Como vamos a conservar la memoria o vamos a destruir esa memoria para hacer algo nuevo. Cada grupo decidió qué tema quería abordar. Zonas conflictivas como por ejemplo la Plaza de la Libertad, donde en realidad había una historia de 200 años donde ahorcaban negros y por lo tanto hay capas de la historia y de la memoria que están cubiertas por un nombre que es la Plaza de la Libertad. Y los chicos en el fondo plantean visibilizar esa historia. Y así otros grupos que escogieron, por ejemplo, la ocupación 9 de julio, y en la ocupación de 9 de julio intentaron visibilizar las redes de contacto para mantener este activismo en pie y funcionando. Entonces es muy interesante cómo los estudiantes lo que están haciendo a través, ven un problema, ven un conflicto y luego empiezan a ver todas las capas anteriores. Y eso es muy interesante para ellos porque logran ver que todos los conflictos tienen un antecedente y no es llegar y proponer, o sea, tiene su tiempo, tiene una reflexión.
Yo creo que la gran reflexión es que, en particular para este seminario, siento que hay una muestra muy diversa de operaciones en distintos contextos, ¿sí? De arquitectos y grupos de arquitectos, ¿sí? Algunos de una manera más crítica y reflexiva, otras una mirada más investigativa, otros con una mirada más práctica del ejercicio proyectual, otros en la reflexión del espacio como construcción de ciudad y otros en la construcción de ciudad desde un ámbito mucho más amplio, ¿sí? Como el urbanismo y el diseño y la planificación urbana. Pero creo que el común denominador es algo que dije al principio de la entrevista y es que todos juegan un papel muy importante en sus ciudades porque entienden cuál es el rol que desempeñan para ese contexto, ¿sí? Al final todos, de alguna u otra manera, tienen algo que sintetiza o lo sintetizan a través de una acción, de un proyecto o de una crítica frente a la ciudad. Entonces yo creo que eso es lo que considero para el workshop más importante, que hay una muestra diversa de muchas operaciones, pero que también dejan claro cuál es el rol che desempeñamos los arquitectos en la ciudad.
Ho trovato molto interessante l'idea dello studio verticale, che nello stesso gruppo ci siano ragazzi di età diverse, con esperienze diverse. Credo che quel tipo di scambio sia essenziale. In realtà io sono uscita da poco dall'università, quindi per me mi sono sentita un po' vicina a loro, quindi il rapporto con loro è stato molto diretto, è bello questo scambio continuo. E rispetto al mio lavoro, sul tema c'è molto in comune. Io ho portato la mia esperienza a livello di ricostruzione, quindi ho fatto ragionare i ragazzi su quello che può succedere anche qua, se un edificio viene distrutto, cosa si può fare. Ci sono diverse problematiche rispetto a quello che io ho lavorato in Aleppo, però non c'è mai una risposta completa, no? Quindi le domande possono essere simili e credo di avergli dato grandi provocazioni in questo senso. Spero di essere stata utile, spero che il loro risultato li renda contenti, insomma. Però è sempre utile, anche per i ragazzi, credo, avere dei confronti con architetti, professionisti, per ragazzi come me che vivono semplicemente in posti molto diversi, e avere un confronto su ideologie e modi di fare e costruire.
We had a very special week. I was not knowing what to expect. It's my first time in Sao Paulo and at the Escola di Cidade, and really inspired by the curiosity and attentiveness of the students. My idea was to take them on quite an experiment which demanded some trust and to kind of break boundaries. The experiment took place on 3 different layers. The first had to do with exploring the city through this tension between public and private spaces, but even more so through personal narratives. And they went to kind of look at places that are thresholds between life and death almost, like very iconic places. One is a birth department in a hospital where new life comes to the city. The second was going to see a marriage ceremony. The third is a soup kitchen of workers in the city. The fourth is a cemetery. And the fifth is a bar. And these 5 places, each one depicting a very different moment in life, in the city. Different atmospheres, but also quite extreme, you know, like they're moments, archetypal moments in a way. So this was our first exercise of going to capture these, and the students went out in groups of 5 to all of these places and came back to map the city and to make a portrait of the city. The second experience was about the neighborhood at Paim, which happened to be a building that was built by Aaron Kogan, father of Marcia Kogan. And also that was like an incredible fate, that again, a personal narrative with a very concrete reality of architecture coming together. And the students interviewed the residents of the building in their homes. So we did this action of coming to the site and discovering it from the domestic side of it. And the third one was this exchange of homes. So going from the bigger city to the neighborhood to the private home. And it was a really, really special experience. I feel thankful for the colleagues that were really supportive and collaborating, but mostly for the students, because they really gave their best trust and presence, and like I feel there's a real dialogue, a real creative dialogue that has been formed. And the week itself has been very inspiring, very full, but I'm informed with so many new aspects about urbanism and architecture in the city, and mostly about the people who live here.
We have to meet, coming from interdisciplinary disciplines, we have to meet in practice. We have to meet in the field, in the city, facing some problem. And the workshop program offers all us coming from different countries, from different disciplines, several possibilities to touch the urban problems here. And the most impressive for me was the visit in the neighborhood of Jardin. I lost the name, Morimbi. I think Jardin. It was so impressive to see the young colleagues there, one living there, to try to add a green space there and showing what to do, how the people living there have to be involved and how which problems you have to solve to involve them. And this leads among us and to discussions that we can discuss about relevance, whose idea, whose knowledge could be relevant there. This is, I think, the most important things. And then here with the colleagues from the Universidade da Cidade, it was great to work together. And I felt in our group, both sides were very curious about the intervention versus the students, how we try to lead them to work, and then our colleagues added their comments. It was great experience, much compliments to this. We feel, I may see it perhaps for us, we feel very honored to be invited to this experiment. We're very thankful. It gives us very much, you have to say, very, very much. I was often in Brazil and know this problem, but again, this workshop touches me by heart and also by mind to look at the direction we can perhaps, hopefully, solve the problem.
Yeah. For me even, it was a great experience. It was really wow. So the first time in Brazil, and so even in Sao Paulo, so wonderful city, and it is a city. And even the talks with the students, with the colleagues, it was so fruitful. We had this moment sitting around the table talking about the experience of blind people, and sometimes it happened that we are in a situation thinking loud in this collective situation. Together with the students and the colleagues, it was quite great. Thank you for that experience.
Thank you for coming. That's the idea.